There won't be much Rocket League for me.
Dang it. Well, I played last night. I got quite frustrated, so I probably will take a couple days break.
Yeah, that's fair. That's totally fair.
What's going on, chat? How's the audio? I set it up all by myself this time.
Hello, everyone.
I don't know. I hope I did it right.
Guess we'll find out shortly.
We shall see.
I see us.
Yep. We are categorically out here.
All right.
I see a man talking about some yams, but that's an ad.
There you go.
I hope those were yams. Wait a minute.
Said my body is ready.
Did you play any disc golf this weekend?
You know what? I threw 3 holes.
Okay.
And it was great. I enjoyed myself.
Nice.
The last time I went and played a full round, my shoulder bothered me a lot.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm old. It sucks. So anyway, how about you? Did you play any disc golf?
I did. I played an event, and I played about as well as expected for coming off of a long hiatus.
Yeah, correct.
But unfortunately, expected was quite poor. So
the expectation was not high.
yes.
That's fair.
So someone says sounds delicious. I don't understand that.
Okay, but thank you for that. Said looking good, Bobby. Hilarious.
Check the title.
Yeah, that's right.
That's all I'm saying.
Let me get a couple more notes here.
Okay.
And then we can go.
What about you, Chad? Did anybody play disc golf this weekend? Anybody play any events? Oh, ratings update was today, too. We can talk about that.
Yeah, I think so.
We should probably also talk about events in the... I'm going to reuse that joke when we're recording for the podcast.
I'm in.
Though. Okay.
I'm totally in.
Act like you don't expect it.
Okay, I'm about it. Okay, so Trilogy Challenge Disc Golf Experience Squad.
Duel.
Yep, Dynamic Duel.
Beginner's Guide.
Yep, that's probably good.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
I'm in. All right.
Nice, modular.
I think we're good.
Dropped 8 points. Dang it. I dropped 9.
Go play as much before that baby mayhem comes in. For sure.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, we're starting to like, I don't know. We'll talk about it on the show.
Okay.
It'll be fine.
Plus 24, baby.
Oh, what's up? That's awesome. Kansas is better than Alaska, right? Yeah. No, Chris, that's right. The pictures that Bobby has shared haven't been really cool looking.
No, yeah, it doesn't look like they're having a great time.
No, and it looks really crappy.
There was Bobby came out, and when we found out we were going to Alaska, and he was like, okay, we only need 2 people to go. So we need to decide which between Danny and Anthony should go to
Bobby
Alaska.
is going to be one of those people.
And I was like, I mean, I like staying home. I'm good. So Anthony was like, okay, I'll go then.
Yeah.
And then I realized I should have put up more of a fight, so it was more like I was making a sacrifice. And then I could,
Man, I'll stay here.
Yeah, you go. You've earned it. Tell you what, I'll take the bullet this time.
Yeah.
But actually, I'm going to sit in bed for way too long and play with my new cat.
Yes.
It's going to be great.
T-Dot Racer.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome. Thanks, Matthew.
Think we're good to start the
recording?
Start the recording.
Do we do this on here?
You're asking the wrong person.
Okay, cool. We're just going to record it on here.
I think so.
And we'll just roll with it anyway.
We don't use the field recorder anymore for this?
I don't believe so.
Okay. I trust you. I wouldn't know.
Okay. I don't know either. All right, we're rolling.
Chat, are you guys ready?
My mom's in the chat, so that's cool.
Oh.
Actually, I'm going to wait until we're really ready to go. So
now
the clip's
we're
actually the right size.
definitely ready.
So are you starting it off?
I'll start it off.
Okay. So once you see
you're saying so once. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I'm new to this. Hey, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Disc Golf Answer Man. I am not Bobby Cool Daddy Slick Breeze. In fact, I am Robert McCall. We share a similar name, though. With me on the desk today, I think this is enough of a desk.
Yeah, it's a table.
Yeah, on the show, we got Danny Lindahl. You might know him as Big Flix for his massive forehand drive.
Most people know me as that.
Is that
if
right?
you've seen me throw a single flick, you're like, that's a big flick.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. You hammered it.
I mean,
it's like, what was the guy's name from The Preserve? Ryan Sheldon, who was putting out 80+ mile an hour forehand.
Jeez.
That's you.
I wonder if he's ever like ripped a disc in half.
That's possible.
Like if you have one with a chip in it and you throw it that hard, if it just splits in half out of your hand.
80 miles an hour is absurd.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so thanks for joining us today. The reason that you don't hear Bobby Cool Daddy Slick Breeze's voice right now, nor Eric McCabe's, is that they are out in Alaska for the event they're doing at Meyer Lake. And if you don't follow Dynamic Discs on Instagram or Facebook, first of all, what are you doing? Go ahead and do that. But Bobby's been sharing some pictures. Come on.
I mean, it's kind of a shack on a puddle.
They're doing well.
That's false. It's very beautiful.
They're not roughing it. I'll tell you that much. So
the lake is so reflective from what I've seen too.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's a lot of the ponds or whatever that I've seen up in Minnesota. A lot of the times the big lakes will be, there you can see the sky kind of, but this is like just a mirror. It's so cool.
Yeah, it looks incredible. So that's where they are. This is where we are. While they're getting to do that, we're going to bring you some of the best Disc Golf Answer Man coverage you've ever heard.
High quality content.
That's a guarantee.
We're ready.
Money back, in fact. Did you play any disc golf this weekend?
I did. I played in an event out in where is it? Cottonwood Falls, Kansas.
Okay.
It's my first event after a long time. And so given that, I kind of played about as well as expected. But unfortunately, the expectations were to play pretty poorly.
Okay.
So,
went ahead and went with the low scores.
Yeah, and then 950 rated. So not
atrocious, but
pretty bad.
Below what you'd like.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
There was like most holes I would do okay, and then sometimes I would just forget how to throw.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work very well when you forget how to throw.
Yeah.
Did you play this weekend?
I played 3 holes of disc golf this weekend.
Okay.
I played a golf tournament this weekend with a friend here in town. Over the course of a week, this is kind of crazy. Over the course of a week, I went from having 0 eagles in golf to 3.
Dang.
In a week. It was awesome. So my partner and I, we were tied for 3rd in the event after the first round. It was a shamble, so both players drive. You go to the best drive, then play your own ball out from there, and then you just write down one score. So it's the best ball at that point.
Okay.
The guy I'm playing with was at least a scratch golfer. He doesn't play very much anymore, but he's still got the skills to be for sure.
Sick.
So he carried me a lot of the way, but I solo eagled one of the par 5s.
Awesome.
Sick. And so we were tied for a 3rd going into the next day. We didn't play that great the second round, but I got another eagle, which got us a skin and a whole prize. So all in all, it was good. In between that, I met one of my buddies out at Jones West when he was almost done with his round. We played 3 holes. Easiest, I think I told you this on stream. Easiest 3 birdies of my life.
Sick.
But actually, easiest 1 birdie of my life. It was whatever.
If you don't know, Robert is one of those players that cannot play for a while and then come back and still play completely fine.
What's up?
How do you do that?
Yeah, well, you just got to not care that much about your results, and then it's fine. We've got a dynamic duel, not a dynamic duel, pardon me, a casual round.
Yes.
That I shot with the Oakleys. That right now is, it's at the back of a long list of projects, but at some point you guys will get to see it. And we had a good time. That was my first time playing in quite a while.
Yeah,
we had fun.
You played pretty well,
for sure. Yeah, it was very fun.
And amongst sabotage for Oakley.
Yeah,
I won't tell you who won.
Yeah,
but
but it wasn't me. Missing Letter coming in with a $2 super chat. He said, "Hello, friends. Long time no see. Good to have you in here."
It's been a minute, dude.
Missing Letter. Yeah, so let's just go ahead and get into the disc golf questions because we've made a promise in the title of this episode of Disc Golf Answer Man, and that's that we are going to answer as many questions as possible.
Yeah, I didn't tell you about that before we started.
That's okay. Here's a caveat. As many questions as possible with reasonable depth into the question. Okay, so we're just not going to waste a lot of time, but we are going to knock out some questions. That's what we're going to do.
We did say just answering the questions too, so we don't need to ask them. We can just click on the screen and then be like, yes,
we'll read them.
Click, next one.
That's
Felons,
right.
Click.
That's right. And best of luck to everybody for understanding what we're talking about. So let's get into the questions. As always, you can go to discgolfanswerman.com to submit your questions there. We have a few in the queue. Right now, we're not taking speak pipe questions because the cord that is needed to run that is on the fritz, unfortunately. And it creates a feedback loop that you would never want to hear.
It's not great.
So we're just going to get straight into the questions. This one comes from Brendan. And the subject is about mental game and getting centered. He said, "Hi, y'all," a fellow Texan. I don't know if he's a Texan, but he said y'all, and so I respect it. He said, "I have a question about battling through tough rounds. I've been playing for a little over a year, and while my form isn't perfect, I've been able to get to a place where I can be pretty accurate with my drives and get myself into my comfortable putting range on my upshots. When I'm playing well, I'll usually finish around with mostly pars, a handful of bogeys, and maybe a birdie or 2. For whatever reason, I'll occasionally get into a funk where one part of my game completely implodes during a round. Sometimes it will be my drives and everything off the tee is super early release or super grip locked. Sometimes it'll be my upshots and I'll struggle to land anything within 50 feet of the basket. My question is, do you have any advice for how I can salvage these rounds? I'm aware this is largely mental, but are there any tips for making minor adjustments mid-round to get myself back on track? What do you think?
Well, Brendan, for driving, I think the best way, if you're struggling with a specific thing, is to try to not throw as hard. Because a lot of times when we're throwing as hard as we can, then that's usually when we are going to be more inclined to making the mistakes. So I will usually disc up so that I don't have to power up a disc as much to reach the hole, and I'll throw at 75, 65% or so, and just trust a clean release and trust that will that my form will be better then, and it's going to be less likely for me to make a mistake. But also having a short memory is going to be really helpful. If you try and, obviously when you make a mistake, you want to try and evaluate why and what you can do to fix it. But beyond that, you shouldn't try and dwell on the mistakes that you've made in the middle of a round. You try to move past those and focus on the next shot as quickly as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really easy to say and tough to do mentally. But what I try to do in that situation is be fully present in the shot in front of me so that I just analyze it as much as I can and only think about that shot, not the frustration of, doubling the hole before or leaving my upshot way short on a really simple par 3 or whatever, Mm-hmm. So yeah, being really present in that moment helps. And then just getting back to fundamentals as much as you can is a great thing to do as well. Let's say I'm playing a course that's got kind of a tough par 3 and I'm just come off a string of bogeys. Instead of playing that for birdie, just to kind of get myself back on track instead of pressing, because I think that's a lot of times we get in trouble because we try and press for birdies and push and kind of get that thing figured out.
Try and save it.
Exactly. Instead of that, I'll just say, how can I get a par on this hole? Because that's an improvement over what I've been doing the last few holes. And so just play it nice and safe, put it right under the basket, give myself a decent score and say, okay, it's kind of like a mental reset. Mm-hmm. So that's what I like to do. Thanks for your question, Brendan. Appreciate that. Next question comes from James, and this is about course difficulty. He says, hey guys, awesome show. Thank you. So far, we agree with you. I agree with you. I shouldn't speak for Danny. It's average.
I think it sucks.
It's average. Question about changing a current course's layout. Are there things that would entice a high-level player in terms of adding new pin placements or tee pads? I work at a park with a disc golf course in it. It's kind of old. Just looking for some fresh tips and ideas. Thanks. Be safe. # be dynamic.
So he says entice a high-level player.
Yeah.
I would say high-level players are definitely going to be attracted to the longer courses because that lets them really showcase the advantage that they have over a lot of other players. So in terms of pins and tee pads, if you can add some longer placements that aren't necessarily like impossible to get to, just lets people throw big shots and get rewarded for that. That's going to be one of the biggest things that's going to entice higher level players.
Yeah. On the flip side of that, I would be careful to not make so many big changes that you alienate the group of players that plays there most.
Yeah.
And I'm with you on that, because if I go to a short course or I don't know where there's not much challenge, it's like if you shoot worse than 13 or 14 under, it feels like a failure. Nobody wants to do that. But if it's a course for us like Hammond Park here in town, I wouldn't mess with that course because a lot of people that play there are kind of on that like beginner intermediate level. So make some changes. Maybe even a second pin placement would be good, but don't alienate the crowd that already plays there, especially if they love it.
Yeah, I was assuming he was talking about like a specific tournament layout that he's trying to attract high level players to. But you're definitely right. Yeah, you want to make sure that it's accessible for everyone.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to design a course for casual players and also for elite level players.
Yeah, for sure. $5 super chat coming in from Matthew. He says, Danny, we just got a new kitty. Because you also got a new kitty.
I did.
He said she was a runt and her mom left her to die. We named her Rona.
Aw.
Matthew, thanks for the super chat. Appreciate that. Tell us about your kitty.
My kitty's name is Tracer. Yeah. She is 11 weeks old now. I've had her for coming up on 2 weeks as of tomorrow. She was 2.5 pounds when I got her.
So tiny.
She is very small. She is kind of skittish. She likes to run away if I stand up or move too big. But if I lie down for long enough, like on my bed or whatever, then she'll just like slowly kind of creep up. And then the other night she was just sitting on my chest looking at me and purring.
It's pretty good.
It was kind of intimidating. I'm not going to lie.
It's like, you could claw me to death for sure.
Very sharp claws.
Let's take a moment to talk about Trilogy Challenge. Trilogy Challenges are happening all over the place. And if you haven't already gotten to play one and you haven't tried out the discs, I'm telling you right now, you're missing out. I would not tell you that if I thought the discs were mediocre, but these ones are not.
They're fantastic.
Yes.
Have you played in one yet, Robert?
I have not played in one yet, but I have gotten some time in with the discs, the SBZ3, the Bounty, and the BT Hybrid Crown. And I'm just saying across the board, one of the best sets of discs that we've had. I've said that a few times. It holds true even after getting some more time in with the discs. So if you have not already played in a Trilogy Challenge, go to trilogychallenge.com. You can find where they are in your area and make sure that you get it in on one of those. It's a great price for 3 discs as well as some competition for some prizes. Now, if there's not one in your area, you can also go to trilogychallenge.com and sign up to run one. We've made it extremely easy. We're easy to work with when getting the player packs out to you. You can do pre-registration so that your bases are covered when it comes to handling the money and everything like that for the event. So if you haven't done that already, you should do it, trilogychallenge.com.
It's a great way to fundraise either for an event or for a course or for yourself, and it's a great way to support your local disc golf scene.
Absolutely. So check it out. Next question comes from Eric.
He's not on the show, so he sent another question.
Yeah. What a nice guy. The subject is in the bag. He says, "What's up, DGAM fam? I would like to firstly thank Robert for recommending the Explorer as a replacement for the Innova T-Bird in my bag. It's basically the same discs, only I'm throwing the Explorer with way more control. I love the Explorer. And anytime I can tell somebody to throw it, I'm going to.
Oakley's been jamming on the Explorer, too.
Yes, and well.
Smashing.
I am almost completely Trilogy in my bag now. The only 2 discs that I carry that are not Trilogy are the Discraft Crank and the Innova Star Destroyer. Hoping to get your insight on what discs in the Trilogy lineup can help me wipe those out. I do already have a Fusion Raider, and it's very flippy for me. Thanks for all you guys do. This is the best disc golf show of all time."
Of all time.
Exclamation point.
This episode specifically.
And you know what? Since you knew that in advance, Eric, you're welcome.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the props on the recommendation. I mean, it's no work that I did. It's just I've thrown T-Birds a lot. I've thrown Explorers a lot. I can tell you they're very similar, and I love the Explorer for that. When we're talking about comparing to the Destroyer, I do think the Raider is probably the closest comparison, but if you have a Fusion one that's flippy, I would want to ask a couple of questions. One, how domey is it, and does it have a high or a low parting line? Most of the ones that are a little bit flatter have a lower parting line and are a little bit more understable than the ones that have a higher dome. If you haven't tried one with dome on it, that would be my first suggestion. If you have, and even that isn't as overstable as you need it to be, go for a domey Lucid Raider, and I promise your problems are solved. They are stable and they are good.
The MyDi hybrid ones are beefy.
Quite good.
Have you thrown a crank?
I haven't.
I have thrown a crank like a long time ago.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's like the one with the monkey on it.
That sounds right.
It's like a big monkey, whatever. And I remember it being kind of similar to like a Captain or a Sheriff. It had turn, but it wouldn't like hold it into the ground. It would kind of come back at the end. So definitely like a bomber disc. Maybe even like a ballista or something like that.
Yeah, I dig that. Yeah, I've seen people throw cranks quite a bit. And yeah, moderately understable, but not roller understable. So Captain is probably great. Sheriff, even the ballista would be great.
Yeah.
On to the next question. Andrew has a question about video form critiques and advice. He says, where is the best place to submit videos of me throwing to get some advice? I've wanted to send a video to you guys or to Danny because when I watch videos of myself, I feel like I look super awkward and I don't throw very far. But as a 6'5" young guy, I mean, we can relate.
Yeah, definitely.
Danny and I both are all of those qualifiers. I feel like I have the potential to throw a lot farther than I can. How can I get the help I need?
We until recently have done the Disc Golf Answer Man form checks. There was an email you could send in form checks to, but my workload has gotten to be a lot more since then with the season starting up, and so I'm not able to reply to those or post those on the Facebook page right now. So your best bet is probably going to be to post on the Disc Golf Answer Man Facebook page and see what advice people give you there. I will say, when you're getting advice on the internet, you're going to get a lot of advice from a lot of different people. And I think that's fantastic. I think everybody who hops in and offers to helps offers tips and advice I think that's fantastic. It's a great part of the disc golf community, but it is important to kind of filter that and look more at what is applicable to your form. A lot of people will suggest videos from myself and a lot of other creators on YouTube or on the internet in general. I would definitely look at that. And yeah, it's general advice. Just try to stay sideways, try to keep your weight over your toes, and make sure that you're not rounding.
Yeah, and if you haven't done so already, you can go to the Disc Golf Answer Man Facebook group.
Yes.
We've got some dedicated listeners there. We will frequent that page from time to time as well, and poke our head in and help out with some videos when we can. So if you haven't done so already, post a video up there. You might tag us in it just so that we have a better chance of seeing it. Can't guarantee anything, but that's probably your best bet. Next question comes from Mikey, and this is about putters. He says, I've always putted with judges, but recently they have been too stable for me. What would you recommend as a less stable judge? I like having the bead, by the way. Thank you. Mikey, I would ask a couple of questions. One is, you said I've always putted with judges, but recently they've been too stable for me. What makes them too stable for you? Have you switched putting styles, maybe from more of a spin to more of a push or kind of a hybrid style? I guess I would just want to get a little bit more information about that. But if you're just asking for a disc that is kind of similar to the Judge, at least that has a bead, but that is less overstable, I think the Maiden is a great recommendation for you. I like the Warden as a less overstable Judge, although the stability is fairly close to a Judge.
It's also beadless.
Yeah, but it has no bead. So the Maiden is less overstable, but not really understable, especially on putts. I think it's really just neutral and straight. It's going to be a little shallower than a Judge. But any other beaded putter that I can think of right now is going to be similar stability or even possibly more overstable than a Judge.
I think the bead is designed to help discs maintain their stability, because as they land on the ground, the bead will wear off before like the leading edge of the disc. And so I think, I think having that bead on there tends to make the disc just a little bit more overstable.
Yep, absolutely. And maintain its stability for a while as well. Let's take a moment to talk about the disc golf experience. We just announced that we're going to have another disc golf experience at Cowboy Stadium. Wait. I think there's a more proper...
Oh, gosh, I'm blanking.
Something at Arlington.
AT&T Stadium.
AT&T Stadium. Yeah, that's exactly
Is that still a thing?
It is.
I'm thinking of singular. Never mind.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Okay.
Zach Melton's calling today, so that's cool.
Wonderful.
Not even Eric. Come on, man.
Does he use a phone with his left hand too?
I don't know.
That would feel so weird.
Yeah, I'm not into that.
Disc golf experience at AT&T Stadium.
So that is coming up. We're going to hold that in August. And one of the biggest things that we've heard from people is just kind of concerns about the safety measures that we're going to take there. That's something that we have thought through and that we're putting together some language for. So as soon as we have kind of the guidelines that we're going to use at that event, I promise we will be sharing those out. But people's safety is at the top of mind right now, probably more than ever. And so we are going to train our staff and our volunteers as best we can to follow the guidelines that we have so that everyone can be safe and enjoy themselves. So the registration for that is opening on Friday, July 17th. You can find that information. We just put it up on our Facebook page.
I heard there's going to be a dunk tank of hand sanitizer if you're just into that.
And everybody has to go into
That's the way it works, yeah.
Let me double check this.
I know, stadium experiences are a fantastic experience if you've never been there. There's the VIP experience or the normal experience, and it's a really unique, I said experience like 18 times, but that's what it is. It's a really unique feeling throwing discs either inside and also on a football field. It's just, it's crazy.
And where you feel like you shouldn't be throwing discs. Yeah. I think that's the most unique part for me is we don't usually throw indoors. We definitely don't throw inside stadiums often, but this is a good chance to get to do that. Online registration, like I said, opens Friday, July 17th at noon Central, and the event itself is going to take place August 15th at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. So go to Disc Golf Scene, search Disc Golf Experience, and it'll come right up for you. Doc Zen coming in with a $2 super chat. He said, Bobby, like the new hairpiece.
Yeah, looking sharp.
Thank you very much. It's this new thing.
Okay.
Rogaine. It makes the hair grow. No, it's not. Bobby's in Alaska. All right, let us move back on to some questions.
Let's do it.
Because right now we're crushing it on our promise to answer as many questions as
questions per minute is really high right now.
Yeah, crushing. Also, these have been pretty easy to answer.
Normally.
Sure. Okay, yeah, whatever. The next one comes from Don. His question is about drives. He said, I'm trying to become more consistent with my motion and delivery on the T-pad. I think my reach back and pull through are pretty good. Which part of driving would you say presents the biggest challenge for replicating consistently? Speed of run up, feet position, maybe hip timing? Thanks, guys.
I would say footwork is probably the hardest thing. And by footwork, I mean your lower body in general. People always ask, how do you sync up the lower body and the upper body? Because they feel like they have a lot of power in their lower body, but it's not translating to the upper body. And so the biggest thing that adds consistency is going to be syncing up your lower body and your upper body. And so what tends to happen is people will turn their hips back as they X step rather than as they reach back. And so what that means is then as you take your last step, your hips turn forwards, and then they can't turn forwards again as you throw. So the tip that I always give to try and sync up your hips and your shoulders is to time your reach back so it peaks when your front foot touches the ground. Because then you're sideways until you're coming out of your X step, then your whole body rotates back and your whole body rotates through all at once. And that it creates a consistent start point for every other thing that happens during the throw, and it makes everything just a lot smoother. And you're not going to be able to do that if you're running into the shot or anything like that. So that's the thing that I would look for.
I quite liked your video where you just run for a long time before you throw.
That's usually the alternative method, is just to yeet it.
Yeah, just go ahead and send it. I will advocate for something that you hear us talk about here often, that you hear pros talk about often, but I think is underutilized, and that's just field work. Going out and spending time with your discs, nailing down your form. It sounds pretty boring, and depending on how you treat it, it can be. If you go out with no focus to your field work and just go throw a bunch of times, it's unlikely that you'll accomplish much other than doing something athletic, kind of. But if you go out with a purpose to say, I want to work on syncing up my hips and my reach back, or my plant and my reach back, and that's what you focus on the entire time, it's likely that you'll take away something pretty tangible from your field work. You're not going to achieve that nearly as easily if you just go out and play rounds of disc golf. It might happen over time if you focus, but when you're thinking about hitting a specific point on the disc golf course and there's a score assigned to it, you're less likely to remember the outcome of what you're working on. You're more likely to just remember your score. Field work takes all of that out of it and allows you to just work on one thing. So I would advocate for that.
Yeah. Change happens at the field. Improvement happens at the field. Execution happens on the course.
Yep, that's it. On to the next question. This one comes from Nick. I like this subject. The subject is discs, mistakes, sorrow.
That reads kind of like a movie trailer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Discs, mistakes, sorrow. I don't, whatever.
That's what I was waiting for.
Yeah,
I was really hoping you'd do that.
All right. He says, well, I threw Trilogy for 3 years. The Discraft's hype train got me, and I wanted to try something new, so I sold all my Trilogy to buy them. This is all caps, so I'm going to enunciate accordingly. I'm so disappointed in my actions and cannot believe I did such a stupid thing. That's what he said. It's his words, not mine.
Okay.
Do you guys have any idea how subpar my plastic is now? Anyhow, I'm selling my Discraft plastic and picking up Trilogy again. I'm sorry for all my stupidity. How can I make it up to you? Well, Nick, first of all, thank you so much for sharing your question. And just for the listeners out there who are like, hey, Discraft has some good discs. These are Nick's words, not mine. I think that most of the major manufacturers, even some of the smaller manufacturers at this point, make quality products. I believe that to be true.
Same.
I like our products best. I stand behind them whether I work here or not. That's just the facts. But just to say that just because one company, you switch to one company and your discs aren't flying exactly how you want them to, that's not necessarily an inferior product. However, I understand what you mean when you had something that was clicking for you and you're like, hey, I'm going to try this out. Maybe it'll be better. And then it's not. You're like, oh, what the heck, man?
Yeah.
So anyway, how can you make it up to us? Well, first of all, thank you for submitting your question to the show. I would say that's step one. Step two, if EMAC was here, would be
5 stars.
He would say to buy an EMAC Truth.
Oh.
But then the third
5 stars.
Yeah, I mean, the third recommendation that I would make is just to go and leave us a review on iTunes.
5 stars.
I won't say how many stars that I would like for you to leave on there.
5 or something.
But if you would just go and do that, that helps us to show up a little bit higher in the search rankings. And it just helps us to have more people listening to the Disc Golf Answer Man show and to Disc Golf Audio in general, because now those reviews are left on Disc Golf Audio, which includes On the Call. Here's a self-shameless plug. I apologize for this. The most recent version of On the Call featured Paul Macbeth, and it was awesome.
Sick.
We had a great time.
Awesome.
Well, not the most recent, the second most recent. The most recent I did was with Nico LaCastro. I'm not sure if that one's gone out just yet.
Okay.
But if you haven't listened to that already, you should check it out. Nick, what you can do, though, because it sounds like you're already going to get some of our discs. I would try new discs that you haven't tried before, because if you haven't thrown our discs for 3 years, we've come out with some bangers in the meantime. Some fantastic discs. I'm telling you right now. The Getaway is in there. The Maverick is in there. The Escape is in there. The Raider is definitely in there.
Sergeant.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic. And then you have to pick up a Bounty and try that out. If you don't still have an EMAC Truth, come on, man.
The birdies will be bountiful.
That's right. That's its tagline. It's not official yet. It's an unofficial tagline.
Yeah. I like what you said, though, about how every company makes good discs. I think that there's a lot of different reasons why you would want to throw all of or a certain company's discs, whether that's their players, you want to support those players and they're your favorite player, or whether you like the company, or they've helped you out with other things, or they run a lot of events in your area. I don't know. That's my opinion, not a result of Disc Golf Answer Man or whatever, but I think there's a lot of good reasons to throw any company's discs, and we try to give you the most of those reasons here at Dynamic Discs.
Yeah, and if you throw, this is something that Bobby says a lot and I think is true, and people sometimes forget. If you throw even one of our discs, thank you for that. We appreciate you supporting us. If you throw none of our discs but listen to the show, thank you for that. We appreciate the support. We want to do everything that we can to help you become a better disc golfer. That's why we do what we do. So, thanks for reaching out, and Nick, best of luck as you find some new discs, man. Next question comes from Caden. He has a question about distance. He says, "Hey, DGAM, I was wondering, as a 16-year-old that has been playing for almost a year, what distance should I be able to throw? I throw around 300 feet, but I don't know if that is normal or if there's still improvement for my physical capability." Caden, I would say there probably is room for improvement, but that's not because of your age or your physical capability. I think that I'm going to say this here.
Go for it.
It may be a bit of a hot take.
All right.
Not for the sake of the show, but just I think that people who are able to do athletic movements, right, who are physically capable, who can walk a full round of disc golf, and have some sort of athletic background, I think that everybody should be able to throw 350 plus at some point.
It's reasonable.
Now, if you pick up the game when you're 60 plus, I understand you're not moving as quickly as you were before. Maybe same for 50 plus. But I'm saying if you're an able-bodied person who's kind of still in their athletic prime, I think you could be able to or should be able to throw 350 or more just by getting a few things right. Those things, I mean, you can ask Danny about those, and I'll let him share in just a moment. But without knowing your physical capabilities at all, I think you could probably, get some more distance. It totally depends on what you're doing right now. It's unlikely that you already have everything figured out as efficiently as possible in your throw. So working on some of those kind of minor, they seem like minor details, but those are the changes that you'll have to make to get more distance. But I don't know, Danny, talk for a minute about when you're developing form, you've been playing for almost a year. What are some of the most common mistakes that you see that limits distance?
Well, for starters, I'll say, as far as how long you've been playing to how far you can throw, that will vary a lot.
Yeah.
There's people who pick up a disc and then within a couple of weeks they can throw 500 feet. Or there's people who've been playing for tons of years and they can't break 250. So how long you've been playing and your age and to a certain extent your height doesn't exactly dictate how far you could throw. But as far as mistakes that you can make, that most people make, usually if you're sitting at 300 feet, you're throwing with a good bit of nose up, you might be muscling and running too fast into your shot. So I would start with slowing down, take probably a 4-step footwork, walk up. I don't want to call it a run up, but slow down to that. Make sure you're staying sideways and your weight's over your toes. Make sure your reach back is low, because lots of times if you're trying to throw too hard, your reach back can leak up, and that'll create like an air skip and a nose up type throw. And last thing is make sure your hand's on the outside of the disc. That's going to require having your arm a little bit more relaxed than probably you're used to, because it's common to try and really smash on the disc, and then your hand will tend to get on the front, and that tilts the disc nose up, and it's not as efficient. So stay loose, keep your hand on the outside of the disc, and then you'll notice a lot more power.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got some videos up on YouTube right now for you to check out. A lot of form videos. Danny has a lot of specific elements of form videos on his channel, but then on the Dynamic Disc channel, we have a lot of beginner's guide videos. Don't overlook those just because they have the word beginner in them. I think there's very valuable information for players at a lot of skill levels in those videos. Talk for a second, Danny, about creating those videos and kind of what we're doing with them.
Well, we started with the beginner's guide videos have been great. The reception has been awesome. There's some that I've gotten a ton of views. They're up in the top 10 or so of our channel. So yeah. They're really good stuff. We just put out one with Eric Oakley. I'm throwing forehand distance shots. That one's doing really well, and Oakley has some great information that he drops in there. But yeah, so we started with brainstorming just a lot of different topics. Some of them were technique, some of them are tournament specific, like rules questions or what you need to know before you play in a tournament. Some of them are just general disc golf advice, but usually I'll outline those and then ramble in front of a green screen for a while and mess it up a lot and have to redo, and then cut everything together, get some B-roll, and put it out there.
And then you say, the first try.
First try, yep, naturally.
I did that on the first take. That's what we always do.
It's never the first take.
Yeah. So check those out.
Definitely.
Our next question comes to us from Eric. He has a question about non-purpose hyzer putts. I think he means not on purpose hyzer putts. He said, hi, I recently started disc golf and I'm having a great time. That's what I'm talking about, man. One of the most frustrating things in my game, though, is putting from 20 plus feet away. I think I might go too much force and I end up with a pretty big hyzer. So big that I can't adjust for it. On shorter distances, I also tend to go hyzer, but then I can manage. So I wonder what the trick is to getting a straight flying putt, especially on those longer distances. Eric, you've come to the right place. In that I know what you're talking about. I putt with hyzer, and I started putting with way too much hyzer because that was just the most natural angle for my wrist when I was putting. So here are a couple things that you can work on. One is when you start practicing, you want to practice making putts. Obviously, everybody knows that. But if you're working on your form and you're working on your angles, don't worry so much about making it as overcorrecting what you're doing wrong. So what I want you to do next time you go out to putt is, instead of taking your normal putting stance, I want you to take a stance and hold the disc on a sharp anhyzer. Sharp anhyzer, like you're throwing a mini roller or something like that, and see if you can putt with that. You're probably going to try that, and it's going to come out on either a baby anhyzer or still flat or slightly hyzer. But it's going to help you feel what it feels like to throw the disc flat. Even if it's not accurate right now, it's going to give you the sensation of throwing the disc flat or even on an anhyzer. From there, you can dial it back to something that feels more comfortable and that's more controllable. I don't think that putting on hyzer is necessarily bad in and of itself. It can be very helpful in your eliminating like a miss on one side of the basket. But at the same time, if you can't even get the disc to the basket or can't predict the hyzer on longer putts, it's not very helpful to you. So I would try to overcorrect just to start until you feel what it feels like to putt straighter, and then work with that form a little and drill that in. Because ideally you want to practice making putts, but when you're messing with your form, get an angle that you don't expect until you start to understand what your angles are going to feel like. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Talk about that for a second.
I think it depends a lot whether you're push putting or you're spin putting.
Good. Yeah.
Robert tends to have more of a push putt. He's got some spin in there too, but compared to my putt, it's definitely more of a lofting motion. If you have more of a spin putt where you tend to use your wrist more, usually I notice that I throw the putter on more of a hyzer when I'm not using my wrist enough. So try and make sure that you're snapping with your wrist. I like to make sure that I feel the weight of the putter in my fingers rather than kind of pushing it with my palm. That helps me get some good snap. And something that Ricky Wysocki actually talked about in a clinic that he did, I believe it's on our YouTube channel. he talked about the angle that you pull the disc down on or back on is going to be the angle that it releases on. So if you're pulling the disc down and you look down and realize that it's on a hyzer, you're probably going to putt on a hyzer. So when you pull the disc back, make a conscious effort to either turn it on that anhyzer or turn it to whatever angle you're trying to throw on. And again, as you're just getting reps in on your stroke and you're getting used to it, disc isn't necessarily going to go in, but once you're comfortable with it, then you can sort of dial in the aiming aspect of it.
Yeah. Yeah, so try it out. I feel your pain because, I was basically a spike hyzer putter for a long time.
Shout out to local legend in Little Rock, Arkansas, Don Grisham. Okay. He's he's an older guy, and he's been playing disc golf for potentially longer than I've been alive. And he putts with the disc on a good bit of hyzer. And we used to have baskets out at Burns Park that I believe were referred to as mock 1989s.
Okay.
Because they had trees falling on them. They were just awful. And Don putted on those baskets. We've got new baskets now with that super vertical putt, and he would just dunk it into the bottom of the basket like he was playing. What am I thinking of? Cornhole. Just lofting up in the air and just smack right in the bottom of the basket, and it was so cool to see. So shout out to Don.
Crushed it. Another shout out that I'd like to send out there is to the Dynamic Disc Squad. Guys, I'm telling you, if you are on social media, you probably are, and you like disc golf, which you probably do, and you occasionally post pictures of you playing disc golf with Dynamic Discs products, which you probably already do.
Hey,
why don't you just go ahead and sign up for the squad?
It's easy.
When you do that, we give you free stuff for sending in those pictures to us.
The math isn't hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's quick math. However long it takes you to take the picture times submitting the picture, then we give you free stuff. That's got to be a net positive for you. Okay, so you need to go to dynamicdiscs.com/squad to get more information and to sign up there. We've already got a lot of people in the squad right now. Some people ascending the ranks, getting some discounts, getting some free stuff. So if you haven't done so already, come on, man. Go to dynamicdiscs.com/squad. Join the squad.
Squad up.
I'm your squad leader, and I mean, that's all you need to know. Mm-hmm. We're going to have a good time. We've currently been having a good time. That's all there is to it. Moving on, we've got a question. Okay, this is my first opportunity for a Bobby type moment.
Okay.
I believe this person's name would be pronounced Hayo.
That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah. It's Haijo, but it sounds like something from kind of the Scandinavian region.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna assume that the J is more like a Y in our setting.
Well,
so I'm gonna say Hayo.
Even if it was like Spanish or something like that, that would still read as Hayo.
Yeah, exactly. So here we are. We're going with it. Right. And if you are Hayo or Haijo, whatever it is, and I mispronounced your name, just let us know. That'd be great. But I don't know what Bobby would have said. I don't really want to.
Hi Joe Silver.
Yeah.
Or hi jalapeno, whatever.
Yeah, that sounds right. And their question is about money for pros. He said, you've had several episodes in Hot Tanks about raising more funds for pros, like raising entry fees. I think that disc manufacturers should raise the price by $1 for all premium plastics, with that $1 going directly to tournament payouts. Base plastic discs should stay cheap to keep the barrier to entry low for the sport. Just thought I'd share my 2 cents on the matter. Thanks for the great show. Thanks for the suggestion there, Hayo. I am going to keep it real. If we did that, there would be an outrage on our hands. We already do that some in supporting our touring pros by doing team series discs for them. We charge more for them. The players get a percentage of those discs, and so that's something that we do. But if we made that across the board for every single disc, that we added an extra $1 to premium plastic discs, that would be tough. Now, when we were planning on being the title sponsor for or big partner of the 2020 Worlds, we made some Worlds fundraisers with that same idea in mind. But it was those specific discs. It was like those, Chameleon Wardens and Raiders and stuff like that. So I love the suggestion. I love the idea. I unfortunately don't think it's practical across the board.
It sounds like you're interested in supporting the bigger events, so I would keep an eye out for fundraiser discs. If you're looking at picking up a disc and it's available as a tournament fundraiser for maybe the same price, maybe a couple dollars more or so, I would I might be more inclined to pick up the fundraiser disc just because that event or that money goes towards the event. Not necessarily directly to the purse, but it definitely goes towards the event and helps reimburse the tournament director for the investments that they've made at the front end.
Yeah. We got a $5 super chat coming in from Mike. Thanks so much, Mike. Appreciate that. He said, most important question, when are Robert, Danny, and I running some threes in Rocket League? Mike,
Janish.
that is a great question.
I've played with Janish before. He's solid.
I'm going to tell you right now, probably not this week. My in-laws are coming in town right now. If this is your first time listening to the show or you haven't kept up, my wife Shay is pregnant, and we haven't seen her parents, I think, since she's been pregnant. Maybe she saw them once briefly. So they're coming up to stay with us for a little while and hang out some. So it's extremely unlikely I will be video gaming much this week. But at some point, let's call it a maybe.
Solid maybe.
Yeah, I'm a solid maybe.
My first thought when you said they hadn't seen Shay was like, oh my gosh, do they know?
Dude, do they know that she? Oh no, you know what? We saw them in person to tell them in person, and I think that's the last. And that was like in February or March or something. So it's been a while.
That's actually a good idea. Cool. Someone brought up in chat. It would have like a box you can check on the checkout to donate an extra $1 towards
that'd be cool.
Something.
Yeah.
Touring players or an event or something.
I dig that idea. All right, let's keep it moving. We got a question here from Travis, and his question is about consistency. He said, I
believe that's constancy.
Yeah,
which is constant consistency.
Mm-hmm. I'm just going to go ahead and make the correction for him.
It's probably a dialect thing.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make fun of Travis. I think he's created a new word and added it to the vernacular, and I respect it.
Yeah, okay. So I'm just going to roll with consistency.
Okay, that works too.
He said, I'm having issues with consistency. I can go out and play the same courses I did the day before. One day I'll have one round where I play decent. The next day I can throw the same disc, same shot, and I'm unable to play on the level I did the day before. Any advice?
Welcome to disc golf.
Travis, what you're experiencing is the beauty of disc golf. It's also the absolute worst part about disc golf. It's why I love sports like disc golf, because it's a challenge that you will never actually fully conquer. You could be the best player in the world and have something to improve on. I spent an hour or so talking with Paul Macbeth last week, and you want to know what we talked about in preparing for tournaments was him finding ways to attack the course to play into his game plan so that he could improve on his scores. And during the off season, he works on improving shots. And he's the best player in the world. So I'm going to keep it real with you, Travis. There is no shortcut to consistency. I think there are two things that you can do to greatly increase your chances to be consistent. And here are those two things. One is to work on your form and drill it in the field. Don't just play rounds all the time. Make sure that all of your technique is sound, that you don't have wasted motion, that it is as repeatable as possible. That's the first thing that you can do. The second thing, and I think possibly the more important thing, maybe this is a future hot take.
Okay.
Don't worry about that. But anyway, possibly the more important thing is working on your mental game, because there are players who can throw way farther than some of the top pros that we have. There are players that can putt better than some of our top pros. Even on a smaller scale, I'm rated 1005. I haven't played disc golf in a little while competitively, but when I was hanging in there, right?
Pretty solid.
I could play some disc golf. And I played with people who were 950, 940, 930 rated who could throw farther than me consistently by quite a large margin. I don't throw that far. But I beat them a lot because I've worked on my mental game.
Oh, that's the best feeling, isn't it?
When they just smash it by you.
When they're cocky about it.
Yeah,
like if they're nice about
most
it,
of the time
I'm not trying to. But like if someone's like, I just outdrove this MPO player by 50 feet, and then they cage the putt, it's always like
okay, well, guess we'll take the same score here.
Yeah,
pal.
I guess
anyway.
so.
But I think working on your mental game is the best way that you can improve your consistency, because what the mental game is about is allowing you to take your physical skills and use them to the best of your ability as often as possible. There's going to be some days where you're just not playing well, and there's not much you can do about that. But you can limit those blow-up rounds by being mentally tough and by using your skills as best you can to make the best of the situations that you encounter. I don't know. Talk about that for a second.
Yeah, I think you nailed it with fieldwork, because your throw is especially at a beginner level. If you haven't been playing for a super long time, it takes a long time to get a repeatable, consistent result out of your throw. And the field is the best way to do that. And also improving your form is going to be a lot more consistent as well, because if your throw is if your throw is on a curve rather than a straight line, if the disc is moving on a curve around your body, it's going to release early or late depending on how hard you're gripping it, depending on the humidity of the air, how sweaty your hands are, things like that. But if you're pulling the disc straight, it's going to move mostly straight regardless of how tight you're gripping it. And so that's one of the biggest things that can help with your consistency.
Yeah, 100%.
At least off the tee.
I dig it. We got another super chat coming in from Ace Run Productions. Thanks so much, Ace Run. You guys dropping bombs in here all the time, and I very much appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
$9.99 super chat. He says, DGAM killing it. Thanks, guys. If you're bored, check out our Magic City Mega Bowl coverage. Zach Melton battles all the way to the end.
Wait, who?
Yeah, I never heard of him. But thanks for the 10. Yeah, Zach Melton, been hanging out on the East Coast a little bit. One of my favorite players to watch and play with. He's just a good guy.
He's one of those guys that always has a smile on his face.
Yes, he does.
Fantastic.
He's a cool cat. Well, I think we got time for a couple more questions here, so we're going to go to this question from Chris. This question is about an updated bag for beginners. He says, hey, disc golf algebra men, little do you know, I'm pretty solid at math.
Calculus.
Okay, yeah, it's not a big deal.
I just said a big word related to math. I don't actually know anything about math.
Yeah, trigonometry.
Oh, that's a bigger word. Dang.
Yeah, in your face.
Derivative. That's
differential equations.
Oh,
okay,
crap.
I'm looking to help out some of the friends that I've gotten hooked on disc golf via starter sets during the pandemic, as well as just contribute to the general body of knowledge that's out there for beginners. Excellent start to the question, Chris, and I'm glad that you're here. When I first started, I had no idea what discs were right for me or what they were supposed to fly like. I found an older video where Robert and EMAC lay out an 8 or 9 disc bag that would help beginners find success while learning how to throw different shots and understand what discs were actually supposed to do. I followed their advice, bought those discs, and have never looked back. That video is a reason why I'm such a big DD fan now. Now that some of these discs have been retired and are harder to find, and some new ones have emerged, could you update that beginner bag for 2020? The original discs were Deputy, Warden/Judge, Warrant, Truth, EMAC Truth or Evidence, Witness, Thief or Breakout, Escape, and maybe a Trespass or a Renegade. So, first of all, Chris, thanks so much for your support, for watching that video, and then for sticking with us since. Glad we could help you out in that way. Danny has actually created an updated beginner bag video, actually just within the last few months, right?
Yeah, it's relatively recent. It's titled "How to Build the Best Disc Golf Bag Without Overlap," and it's part of the Beginner's Guide series we were talking about earlier. So, like I said, some of them go into technique, some of them go into tournaments. This one is specifically how to make sure that you have a well-rounded bag and you don't have a lot of duplicates of discs that do the same thing in your bag, to where like you're in between two very similar discs, and what that can do is cause you to lose confidence as you're throwing. If you throw a shot and say, oh, I should have thrown the other one, when in reality it wasn't necessarily the disc, it was in your throw. And so it helps you to focus more on executing your shot. So I would definitely recommend checking that out. Yeah,
so go to Dynamic Discs YouTube page and search the Beginner's Guide. You can find that updated new bag video. And hey, thanks for teaching people to play disc golf, man.
Appreciate it.
We talk about growing the sport all the time, but we can't be the only ones doing it, right? We do what we can here, but it has to be something that you guys carry out and teach to your friends and introduce them to. And so, Chris, good stuff, man.
You know, we out here, but you out there.
But you out there.
I don't think it doesn't work.
I want a fist bump, social distancing, but I liked it. It might be. I can decide what our slogans are. That might be a new slogan. I really like that.
We out here,
but you out there. It sounds philosophical.
It does,
which is what I love about it. Thanks for the question, Chris. Hey, while we're talking about our YouTube channel, you should check out an upcoming video to our YouTube channel. It's a dynamic duel that took place at the Emporia Country Club just before Dynamic Discs Open. The teams were Nico LaCastro and Emerson Keith, and they faced off against Eric Oakley and Tristan Tanner. Fantastic action, fantastic golf, some good players, and some huge shots. So
and we actually had the radar gun out there. So if you like seeing that from the Central Coast coverage, where you can see how fast the players are throwing, I believe I have the same radar gun that they do. Someone sent it to me a while ago.
Nice.
So thank you, someone, for sending it to me. And it was I put it together. It looks amazing.
We had a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Time for a couple more questions here. This one comes from Roger. His question is about the Trilogy Challenge discs.
Oh, what's up?
He said, I participated in the Trilogy Challenge sponsored by the Natty in Cincinnati, and I absolutely love the bounty. I got it in pink lucid, and it is, I quote him, schnazzy.
I assume he's doing like a that motion.
Schnazzy. It has replaced my EMAC Truth as my go-to mid-range. Good thing Eric's not on the show because
He would flip the table.
we wouldn't even get to finish this question. Unless I need it to stable out. Okay, he'd be fine now.
Okay.
I like the Crown, but won't be bagging it. Still love my Rhino and Judge. But the SPZ3 was much more stable than the flight numbers would indicate. Do you think those flight numbers will be adjusted? It seemed more like a 0.3 than a -1.2. P.S. Still bagging my Vandal from last year as my primary forehand disc. Great question, Roger. So I've got a little bit of insight that I think will help you out in this. So the SPZ3 is part of a starter set that was made for Amazon by Latitude 64. At the time that it was made, we weren't really expecting to release it in a premium plastics. But once we got those and the base plastic SPZ3 flew really well, we thought, that might be a good Trilogy Challenge disc. So we made them for Trilogy Challenges in premium plastic. They molded up quite a bit more domey than the Prime ones are, or the, pardon me, it's not a Regio. Retro, there you go. Than the retro ones are. And that's going to make them a little bit more overstable than their retro counterparts. So I don't think we're going to adjust the flight numbers for that purpose. It's just one of those things where in different plastics, discs do act a little bit differently. These just happen to mold up a little bit more domey, and I think they're a great disc, even if the flight numbers aren't exactly what you think they should be. Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah, I think they're pretty accurate. If you have more power, maybe then you'll see more turn out of it. Like we saw I had EMAC throw them, and got a little bit of turn out of it, but I definitely think this is the most stable Trilogy Challenge disc in recent memory. Mm-hmm. Or it's more stable than the Musket?
I think it's probably a little bit more stable than the Musket, yeah.
Because we had the Musket and then the Vandal and now this one, the SPZ3. And I think that having all understable discs would kind of turn some players away, because while Trilogy Challenges are structured to be welcoming and inviting towards newer players, it's also we want people to play them so that they can get the discs. And so more skilled players who have more power are going to have a little bit more of a hard time throwing those more understable discs. And so I think we kind of struck a good balance with like an understable mid that's going to not require as much power, and then a more stable driver that can maybe handle the more power. So I really like the discs this year. I think they go together really well. But yeah, I don't think there's a plan to change in the flight numbers in the future.
Yeah. Thanks for your question, though, Roger. Appreciate that.
Yes, thank you.
Let's say two more, and then we'll call it a show.
Wait, does that set the record for as many?
You know what? I haven't been keeping up, but we've been going pretty good.
We probably did it.
Yeah, more than likely, yes.
We can just go with probably and then claim it.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good idea. This question comes from Gabe, and it's about form. He says, "Hey, DGAM crew, love the work you do and the help you provide. Appreciate that, Gabe. I have recently started to get serious about improving my game, but could use some advice regarding disc choice. I've heard over and over pros talking about finding discs that work right for you and mesh well with your style and form. However, since I am newish to the sport, I feel there are some serious steps I will need to take in improving my form. Are there any," and he puts in parentheses, I don't know which word to use here, beginner, neutral, easy, discs you would recommend while I am dialing in my form, or should I still be exploring around to find the discs I like? Thanks.
Gabe, you're gonna find the most success with the more neutral. Generally means a straight flyer, not necessarily beginner friendly. Like the Trespass is a great neutral flying or distance driver. But because it's a distance driver, it's not necessarily beginner friendly. Although it is pretty straight flying, so it's kind of easier as far as distance drivers go. But you are going to want to find discs that kind of work to your game, and those are going to tend to be the more understable discs. As you're working on your form, a lot of people will tell you to stick to mid-ranges and putters, because if you have any wobble on your throw or problems like that, those are not going to forgive that flaw as readily as something faster like a distance driver or a fairway driver will. But I would also encourage you to have something like the like a Maverick or the Latitude Mall is a great disc, or something like the Underworld, some sort of understable, slower speed fairway driver, because the mids and putters don't require as much of a nose down throw as drivers do. And so if you only throw mid ranges and putters, that can sort of predispose you towards getting that nose up release. So definitely you want to find discs that work towards you, towards your game. I would say the place to look would be towards the more understable or straighter flying discs. And definitely stick more towards mids and putters, but throw a couple shots with a driver in there every once in a while, just to make sure that you're able to get your nose down.
Yeah, as we talked about...
not your physical nose down, the nose of the disc.
Yeah.
Which changes because it's rotating, but yeah.
Your physical nose can kind of just stay where it is, and you can still play disc golf.
On your face.
Yeah, it's great. One of the discs that I would recommend to you, Gabe, would be the Maverick, Dynamic Disc Maverick. I think for beginners, it's such a great teaching tool because... at first, it's probably going to be a little bit overstable for you. Yeah. You're not going to be able to get it as straight as you'd like to. But as you develop form, it's so easy to throw the Maverick straight. Mm-hmm. Just put it on a little bit of hyzer, watch it fly straight, and finish flat.
I remember my first hyzer flip. Do you?
No.
Oh.
I still don't know how to throw one.
Oh, okay. I remember the first time I threw a disc and saw it turn, and it was mind-blowing.
Absolutely.
And definitely you can use a Maverick for that.
I actually do remember my first one. And also, I exclusively throw hyzer flips now. Like, I'm not great at anhyzers. But yeah, once you get a disc to turn, that's when you know, okay, I'm doing something right. And then you're not wobbling it over like it's... and then...
wounded duck.
Yeah, you don't want that. So that'd be a fairway driver that I would check out. The Truth, the Warrant, great.
Bounty.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you go to a Trilogy challenge, pick up a Bounty. Those are great ones to try out. And then the Deputy, Warden, either one of those, Mercy, Maiden. I think you'll like some of those. So yeah, check those out. Last question for the podcast today. Thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate that. Last one we've got is from Daniel, and this has to do with timing. He said, so I've been playing for 2 years, and I've noticed recently that I was plateauing and stepped back on run-ups. My question is, how do I go about relearning my run-up? Every time I try, I end up throwing on an up angle, so it sounds like nose up. Thanks for the help, and keep it real. Well,
Daniel, speaking of timing, that's all the time we have for today. We're going to have to end now.
Later.
Anyway, the timing of the throw is really hard. Relearning your run-up is also a big struggle because it's changing anything with muscle memory is really hard. People say, I'm going to throw away my disc golf form, relearn from the basics. Well, that'd be like, I'm going to forget how to walk and then relearn from there. That doesn't exactly work. You can't just forget how to walk. So it's really hard to forget how you used to do your throw. But if you're looking to rework your footwork, rework your form in general, I would start from the ground up, and I would focus on footwork first. I would start with I have a video on the Beginner's Guide series. It's titled How to X-Step, and I would definitely start there. Start with just a 3-step. Go with your right foot, your left foot, and then your right foot if you're right-handed, and work up from there. And that'll help you with your lower body. It's important to make sure your weight is over your toes and you're not leaning backwards as you're reaching back or anything like that. That could be what's causing that nose up throw. And then as far as timing, the biggest thing that helps with a lot of timing is timing your reach back. So your reach back peaks when your front toe touches the ground. Because if those two things happen at the same time, that's like the starting point for everything else that happens in the throw. If your reach back peaks when your front foot touches the ground, it probably means that your hips are going to fire at the right time, your shoulder's going to fire at the right time. It's a lot harder to round. It's a lot harder to make a lot of the most common beginner mistakes if you're doing that. Another thing that might be causing nose up is a high reach back. It's counterintuitive, but make sure you're reaching back around lower chest height to get a nice flat pull rather than an angled downward pull, and that'll help a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to do it for today's episode of Disc Golf Answer Man. Thank you so much for joining Danny and myself as we tackle your disc golf questions. I think probably the most questions of any show ever.
Definitely.
You're welcome.
I checked.
If you haven't done so already, would you mind going to wherever you consume podcasts, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, if it's got a place to leave us a review.
Or YouTube.
Yeah. Or, yeah, you can just go ahead and press thumbs up on YouTube. That'd be great. But if it's got a place to leave us a review, go ahead and drop us a 5-star review. We very much appreciate any and all 5-star reviews because they help more people to be able to listen to the podcast.
You don't have to give 5 stars.
But please do.
Please, 5 stars.
Yes. And if you haven't subscribed on YouTube and rung that bell for notifications, please do that as well. Thanks so much for joining us, and we will see you next week.
I'm supposed to hit stop recording now. Right?
Yes.
Okay. We did it.
Okay. YouTube, we should still be live.
Yes.
Hello, everybody.
What's up?
I want to, first of all, I need to take a short break. Don't ask why.
Okay.
Same reason that Macbeth needed to in the middle of
Memorial
disc golf audio. Yes, that's correct. But, okay, so I got a question from Am I Romantic on here. He said, when you have a chance, can you explain the refer a retailer from the squad? He said, mine was what I thought a great lead and didn't get approved. Okay, so one of the new tasks that we have on the squad is for you to refer a business to us, like a possible wholesale customer, with contact information and someone for us to reach out to, so that we could talk with them about carrying Dynamic Discs products and Latitude 64 and Westside products. So a lot of times when those don't get approved, it's for a couple of reasons. One is because we probably already have contact with that company. So we've been talking with them. So like, let's say you sent over info@walmart.com and you're like, Walmart, it'd be great if you're a customer there. Well, we've probably been talking with Walmart, or at least we currently are or would be having that conversation. So that one's not going to fly. But the other one would be if it's a customer who isn't carrying our discs currently, but has been a customer of ours, or just like hasn't ordered recently. It has to be a new contact that doesn't carry our stuff, has never been a customer of ours, in order to get credit for that. So anyway, thanks for asking that. I very much appreciate it. You want to handle a couple of chat questions,
Sure.
and then I'll be back shortly.
All right, sounds good. A long time ago, someone asked if my cat was named after the Overwatch character. She is, because she's a spaz. She runs around a lot. She goes crazy, especially at like 1:30 a.m. I had to hide her little toy with a bell on it last night because it was keeping me up too much. But yeah, definitely. I like a lot of Overwatch. It's been a struggle since they buffed Genji too much, but it's the way of the road. I'm an Ashe main. I can't really talk. You can't leave a 4.87 star review. I mean, I guess unless can you actually? I don't know. That'd be cool if they had like a grade on the stars to where you could click on like exactly where. Zoom way in. We didn't really talk about the ratings update. There was a ratings update today. I went down 9 points. Roberts didn't change at all. What up, Desert? How's it going? The V3 Chameleon team stamps that aren't Chameleon, I believe those actually were Chameleon. We just got them early. Right? So, I believe we thought they were, we got them and then we put them out and then we're like, wait, those are the Chameleon discs, not the Glimmer discs. And so we put them back and got the Glimmer ones out. But yeah, the Chameleon verdicts, I've thrown, I don't know if you guys have thrown them. They were online last week, I believe. But yeah, my verdict is domey and beefy. Very beefy. Drew, any advice on adding height to a throw without getting too nose up? So the nose up is relative to the trajectory of the disc. So if you're throwing up, even though so if you're throwing flat, then you need the disc to be flat. That's considered nose down. If you're throwing downhill, then the disc needs to be tilted down, and that's considered nose down. But if you're throwing up and over something, the disc needs to match that height that you're throwing. So it's going to be tilted back relative to the ground, but not necessarily relative to the direction you're throwing. It's easier to throw up and over things on a hyzer or an anhyzer because they're less likely to stall out and kind of come back towards you. And my biggest tip is to reach back even lower than you think. So reach back way lower and then follow through way higher. What's up, Mitch? Yeah, I was, for some reason, the event that I played yesterday already went on my rating.
Really?
Yeah.
That's lightning.
Yeah, that's pretty quick. It's impressive. But like, yeah, what up, Uzi? Yeah. The Chameleon verdicts are very overstated. Yes, definitely. Oh, somebody in the chat earlier asked if we could touch on the Glimmer and Chameleon thing with the verdict specifically. So this is what happened with those. Latitude 64 accidentally overproduced Glimmer verdicts from the first run. We waited on them because they already had this stamp on them, right? Mm-hmm. So we held them for the second one and then just released the Glimmer and Chameleon ones at the same time because they have the same stamp. Oh.
So that's what that is. Now, the Glimmer ones still have, I'd say, somewhat of a chameleon effect to them. They're just a little bit different color than some of the others. So.
I was unaware of this.
Yeah, that's how that is.
Wonderful.
So there you go.
Someone asked a question. Currently throw standstill, planning on trying the 3-step run-up next year when you get your skill higher, but you've been wondering how much more distance does a 3-step and a run-up get you. I have a video on this on my channel, actually, from probably over a year ago now, but it's where I throw a getaway standstill, 1-step, 3-step, and then 360. Yeah, the return on... is it return on investment at that point? I don't know. Is kind of declines there a little bit. Yeah. But the definitely adding footwork is going to add a little bit of power. I believe my standstill was right at like 280, and then my full run up was almost 400. So you can definitely add some power.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's important to make sure that you're doing it correctly. Make sure you're not spinning around backwards and focusing. I would encourage you to try a 1-step drill where you start with your feet together and the disc in front of you and then reach back and throw all at once. Magnus asked what to do for long downhill shots. The problem with downhill shots is your disc is going to be helped by gravity, so it's going to stay at its release velocity longer. So if you throw a disc that has turn, it's going to stay turning longer. So you got to throw a slightly more stable disc, and if it has any turn, expect it to turn for a little bit longer.
Yeah, man. Are we ready for disc golf hot takes?
Do you have one?
I have one that I think will be a good debate for you and I.
Okay.
So I'm ready.
All right.
And if...
Should I stop recording or just hit it? Just... You were in the middle of a sentence.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, stop recording for a second.
Okay.
If we... Let's do this. If we get to the end of that and we say, you know what? We still want to debate some stuff.
Okay.
We'll do your non-disc golf one.
Gotcha.
Maybe we can just do that with a chat after or something. I don't know. We'll make the decision on the fly.
I kind of want to do my disc golf one too.
Okay, let's get it. Well, we need one for next week.
Okay, yeah.
I've got what I think will be a good one for you and I specifically.
Fantastic.
You and me, whatever. Let's do it.
Ready?
Hey everyone, welcome back to Disc Golf Hot Takes. Disc Golf Hot Takes is a show in which we take some opinions. Some might consider hot.
And lukewarm for others.
And we debate them mostly hotly. Mm-hmm. On the show today, we've got Robert McCall and Danny Lindahl.
What's up?
You might know him as Big Flix.
Most people do.
You might know me as Robert McCall.
Most people do.
Yeah.
It's worth mentioning that the opinions on this show are not necessarily what we actually believe, but sometimes it's a stance that we're taking just for the sake of argument and just a way to further explore the topic that we're talking about.
Yes. But today, I actually believe our opinions are going to be our opinions.
Okay.
And I'm excited about it.
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
I don't know.
Okay, here it is.
Okay.
This is a would you rather. I'm going to take one side. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put it out there, and I'm going to let you choose your side.
Okay.
Okay. If you didn't know anything about disc golf, and you were starting out as a new player, you just started playing, and out of the gate, you were given these two choices, which would you choose? Would you rather be a player with 900 rated disc golf skills, mechanical skills, but 1,000 rated mental game? Or would you rather be a player with 1,000 rated mechanical skills and a 900 rated mental game?
Oh, that's a great question. That's so hard. I don't know.
It is. That's why when I thought of it, I was so excited. I usually have bad ones.
You have a side that you want to take already, right?
I do, but I'm going to let you go because I think I know which side you're going to take.
I don't know what side I'm going to take.
I'm going to take my side then.
Go for it.
I would rather be a player with 900 rated disc golf skills and 1,000 rated mental game. Here's the reason for that. I know of a lot of 900 rated players who can play pretty well, right? A lot of times what is holding them back is not necessarily mechanical skills, but I think it would not be an overstatement to say that 900 rated players throw 50 to 80 less feet than 1,000 rated players on average. Maybe more, but let's just go with that for right now. However, part of the reason that I chose this is because I think putting, you can have whatever form you want while putting. Mm-hmm. There are countless different types of form out there for putting. However, putting is I think it's the most mental part of the game. There are mechanically gifted putters who cannot put the disc in the basket because they can't allow themselves mentally to do it. So, and hold on, I see a comment in the chat. He said, Matthew says, lower mechanics, you can work on mechanics. In this situation, you can't. This is where you are forever.
Ooh.
No practicing either. You just have this, and this is your skill set. Okay. I think that a player with lower mechanical set and a higher mental game ability will meet the highest end of their potential more often than a player with high mechanical set and low mental game. Your thoughts?
That's interesting. Okay, so your stance on that is based on the fact that putting is very important.
Yes.
And you will make more putts even if you have poor form because your mental game will be more solid.
Yeah, not just putts. I think you're more likely to throw a good drive that's at your capacity with a better mental game than a good drive at your capacity with a bad mental game.
Okay.
I think you capitalize on your skills better with a better mental game, even though your skills are lower across the board.
So the problem with 900 rated form,
okay, great,
900 rated mechanics,
I'm about it,
is that inherently it's not going to be consistent. You can have the most solid mental game. You can have, swing thought, whatever. You think about the same thing every time. You can know what shot you're going to execute, not try to bite off too much. But at a 900 rated mechanical skill, you're just not going to execute it nearly as consistently. Whereas with a 1000 rated skill, even if you're a little bit off mentally, you're still going to be able to execute the throw a lot more of the time. And to your point about putting, people always say drive for show, putt for dough. And yes, putting does have a big effect on disc golf. It's hugely important. But if you look at the stats on Pro Tour events, on UDisc events, the first place Circle 1 putting average is rarely the winner.
Yep,
it's
right.
Whoever hit the most Circle 2 in regulation, Circle 1 in regulation, and fairways hits.
Yep.
So off the tee is a lot more important than putting as far as winning those top tier events. You don't have to putt if you park it. And a 1000 rated player is going to be much more likely to park it. And so therefore they only have to take, 9 or 10 putts over 18 holes compared to the 900 rated form is even if they have the mental game, they're still not going to be able to reach as many baskets and put themselves in position as often. So if you can have a solid mental game, but if you're taking 80 footers while the other guy's got tap-ins, you're just not going to finish as well.
I can dig that. I do like the generalization that 1000 rated players would only have to putt 10 times around, because tell that to me when I'm not playing. But anyway, okay. So I hear what you're saying, and that's an extremely good point about driving stats on UDisc. That's one of the things. So Dixon does on the box.
Yep.
And that's one of the things that he talks about a lot is driving stats are very, very important. Absolutely. When we look at winners of events, it's the people who have the most opportunities at birdie. So here's what I think the argument really comes down to is we're talking about ceilings, right? Ceilings and floors.
Yep.
The ceiling of a player with 900 rated skills and 1000 rated mental game, it is probably only about 1000 rated, right? That's about the best round that they could shoot, unless they just absolutely pop off and play perfectly, just because they probably can't reach a lot of the holes that are in play. So across the board, I say, all right, I'm good with it. Now, their floor, though, is probably only like 950 or 940, because they're going to more consistently execute on the shots that they want to throw, even though they're not quite as far, right? On the flip side of that, player with 1000 rated mechanical skills and a 900 rated player game or a mental game, their ceiling is much higher. They could go drop a 1050 or something like that. And I've seen it happen to players extremely mechanically gifted, but with a weak mental game. However, I think their floor is so much lower because they could allow things to spiral out of control. No amount of long shots are going to save you when you can't bring yourself to believe that you can throw a good shot. You know what I mean? So anyway, I think we're having a discussion of ceilings and floors at this point. I think it's obvious that the lower mechanical player with a higher mental game will be more consistent over time, but they're probably not going to win a lot of events in open. They could win some advanced events if they go shoot 970, 980. But to compete at the top level, especially with the top, well, neither of these players is competing at the top level, but at the top kind of local level, I think these types of players exist out there.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm just saying, okay, full disclosure. I kind of feel like the player that I'm describing. I don't have the best mental game in the world, but I think it is better than my physical skills. However, my physical skills are, I don't know, they're okay. They're not 900 rated, but they're not 1020 rated. I'll tell you that right now. Anyway. So for me, it's just the thought that a strong mental game can take you farther than just good mechanics. I think that's what it comes down to.
That's a fair point. But I think if you have good enough mechanics, then your mental game becomes a lot less important. Because if you throw more good shots, you're less likely to get tilted and spiral out of control.
That's 100% fair. Drop in the comments here and on anywhere that you're consuming this, or submit a question. What do you think? Which would you rather be? A player with 1,000 rated mechanical skill and a 900 rated mental game, or a player with 900 rated mechanical skill and 1,000 rated mental game?
What is the rating of these players? Are you assuming 950 for both of them?
Yes, they're both 950 rated players.
Okay, 950 rated players.
Yeah.
I was thinking that the one of them would be rated higher than the other.
And they might be. The thing is, like, because of the rating system, I bet one of the players goes and shoots 1025 and also 875.
Yeah.
And the 875 likely drops.
Oh, that's
for
a
a
good
950
point.
rated player. Yeah. So in the end, they're probably rated higher. They have a better shot to actually win events, but they're also going to miss cash an equal amount of the time.
Yeah. You probably make the same amount of money at the end of the day.
Yeah. More than likely, that's true. When I was just kind of coming up the open ranks, I noticed that I was the big swing guy. Like, it was like, count on it. I'm going to go shoot 1030 the first round, and count on it. Whatever score I would have to shoot the next round to equal just under 1,000 average for the event. That's what I was shooting.
Yeah.
So I would go shoot 1030, 968.
Dang it.
Average 999 for the event. Get fourth. And only when I started working on my mental game did I become a little bit more consistent.
Yeah.
My physical skills they're still not great, but they're okay. But I was executing on them more often. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think it's an interesting debate.
Yeah, definitely.
That's all there is to it.
I don't know. We don't really see many questions coming in from chat. Just people talking about, I'm already 900 rated mental game and 900 rated mechanics.
Nice. I can dig that.
Definitely. It's just a interesting thing, like how much of mechanics is mental game.
Yeah. Where do they intersect and how do they? Mm-hmm. That's a good point, because one of the things that good putters do is watch putts go into the basket. That helps build confidence. So you could have really ugly putting form and kind of like, I guess, bad putting form. But if you've watched a lot of discs go in, you're more likely to believe that they're going in the basket when you let them go.
The first player that comes to mind as someone who I think has good putting form, but to the average person watching it doesn't look like it's good putting form, is Lewis Bitney.
Okay, yeah.
Are you familiar with him?
Yeah, kind of a little nose-up spinny guy.
Well, it wobbles.
Yes.
And it's very wobbly as it putts, but it just finds the center of chains so much. It's so cool. He's on Central Coast coverage. He's a California dude from what I know. But he plays in like jeans and like a hat like Corey Merle's. Mm-hmm. He's a
baller.
But yeah, his putt wobbles, but it just flies dead straight. And people are saying like the wobble helps it catch more chains too.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah, I don't know if that's true, but
yeah.
I could. Well, so think about, have you watched Jay Redding putt very much?
Yes.
Jay is one of the best putters out there right now. Like, stack him up against a lot of players and he's coming out on top. And his putts wobble and he jams from everywhere. Everywhere.
It wobbles because of the magic.
Yeah, because of the magic that he put on there. We got a question on here. How do you gauge your mental rating? You can't. But but that doesn't make any difference for the show.
The problem is if you rate it lower, it probably just dropped.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Oh, my mental game sucks. Wait, my mental game about my mental game sucks.
Yeah, that's right. Dang it. I'm in an endless loop of dropping. Okay, let's talk for a second about the other one that you had, non-disc golf related.
Okay.
Is it enough to be its own show, or are we trying to just do it right now?
No, it's pretty short. We can just throw it on the end here. Okay.
Let's get
It's
it.
something, if you watched my vlog at Bowling Green last year with Rusco, you're probably familiar with it.
Okay, I'm about it.
I am a firm believer that cereal is soup.
Ooh.
Because, okay, when I worked at the restaurant, over summer, we had a cold cucumber soup that was like a creamy base, and it had like dill and stuff like that.
Okay.
And that is soup. It's cold, but it's soup. And then also you have like Campbell's chunky chicken noodle soup or something like that has chunks in it, and it's a liquid, right? So those are two different kinds of soup. Cereal is cold, and it's a liquid with chunks in it, so it counts as soup.
Okay. I'm gonna go against you on this one, because I actually believe it. not for the sake of the show.
Okay.
Cereal is cereal. It doesn't need to fall into a greater category of soup, because soups across the board are savory. That's how they are. I guess sweet soups could exist, but that would be like, you don't have a dessert soup. Okay. Probably. At least I've never had. Okay. But there are lots of sweet cereals. There are some savory cereals, but I think the difference is that the base for cereal is always milk. That's what it is. And there are these kind of oat-based products that are created to go in this one category of cereal. It bears similarities to soup, but it's like if you look at a hamburger patty and you look at a T-bone, and you say, that looks like that's got to be steak. No, that's a hamburger patty. It's not. There it is. That's where I'm at. Chat,
Well,
what do you guys think?
so
Tanner says Robert is a soupist.
So your argument is predicated on the fact that you can't have the same base for multiple soups?
No, you
Beef
can.
Bullion would like to have a word with you.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. No, but milk is always the base for cereal. Always.
So
Always.
here's my problem with not classifying cereal as soup.
Okay, I'm in it.
Very frequently,
Okay.
it is like 8:30, and I realize I haven't had dinner yet, and so
Yeah.
I have cereal for dinner.
Yeah, okay, cool.
And if it's not soup, then I'm judged for that. But it's soup, and I can say, "Oh yeah, I just had soup for dinner," and nobody cares.
So this is more of a self-preservation.
That's the
argument.
problem that I have with it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, see, here I am. Okay, nice. Okay, so Greg Mueller is on the chat board.
Okay.
Chef Greg Mueller.
What's up?
He works at RecTech Grills.
Okay. What's up?
He sent me a grill. It's fantastic. I'm about to make tomahawk steaks on it this weekend, Greg. So send over any tips, because I'm terrified. I think they're expensive, but we're about to make it happen.
Do
Okay.
it.
So he said, fruit-based gazpacho is a soup when in a bowl, but a smoothie when in a cup.
Yeah.
Mind blown. I'm just saying.
I bet you it's also sweet because it's fruit based.
Well, yeah.
This is so convenient to have him in the chat right now. This is amazing.
Well, and like all the letters after his name mean that he knows what he's talking about when it comes to food.
Obviously.
Yeah. So anyway,
I think the true answer is literally cereal is soup, but culturally it's not.
okay, I could go for
Because of what I talked about, how people generally have cereal as a culture. We have cereal for morning, for breakfast, and stuff like that. But if you went to a restaurant and asked what their soup of the day was, and they said Lucky Charms,
that. I like that. Okay.
actually, I'd be very down for that. I'm okay with that. But
we're having Lucky Charms as soup. Okay, the soup of the day, Lucky Charms. Okay, couple of questions coming in from the chat board. Ryan says, does oatmeal qualify as cereal?
oatmeal, no. Oatmeal is closer to a smoothie than it's soup.
Dang. Okay, that's fine. I can go with that. Darby says Pop-Tarts are ravioli. Fight me. Pop-Tarts are sweet ravioli with a sweet base. No, I can dig it.
Oh my gosh! Now I want like jelly ravioli with like icing on top.
Woozy says cereal doesn't need milk to be cereal. That's true, but that's how it's usually eaten. And then I saw Ty Love said another hot take: cereal is better without milk.
False.
I'm just going to disagree with you there,
Yep,
Ty.
you're
It's
wrong.
like now, some people say the same about cookies and milk. Like they can't have cookies without a glass of milk nearby. I'm fine with it, but I'll just eat cookies. Just give me a cookie.
Tip from a prolific Oreo connoisseur: if you have a fork and an Oreo and a glass of milk. You can put the fork in between the cookies into the icing of the Oreo, and then you can submerge the whole cookie without getting any milk on your hands until the cookie is soft. Like the bubbles stop coming up, the cookie has no structure to it whatsoever. And then that is the best way that I've ever had Oreos. I've been known to put away at party size.
Just crushing them. Well, hey guys, thanks so much for joining us for Disc Golf Hot Takes and Cereal/Soup.
Hot takes.
Hot takes.
Or cold takes in this case.
Danny, yeah, that's exactly right. Danny and I are going to be back with you next week for Disc Golf Answer Man while the rest of the crew is in Alaska. So we've got another hot take for next week.
We should real quick make like an inside joke from this episode that we can reference to the other episode. So the people the real OGs who were here for this episode know for the next episode.
Yeah.
Do you have any ideas?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
I love
we can
inside
go jelly
jokes.
Ravioli.
Love to be a part of one.
Jelly ravioli.
Sweet ravioli.
That's two. And that'd be like an exclamation. Oh, sweet ravioli.
Okay, nice.
Sounds very Southern.
Nice.
Okay.
I'm about it.
Lord have mercy, sweet ravioli.
That's the end of the podcast.
Okay, I'll shut it off.
Join us next week. Thank you.
Thank you.
YouTube, thanks for sticking around.
Lord have mercy.
We've had a good time. A Hymn Slayer says my mind is blown right now. I saw Greg said this is a fantastic debate. Thank you. Yeah. You know what? We work in disc golf, but literally everybody eats food. It's a statistical fact. Everybody eats food. So there are plenty of opinions to be had about it.
There was a commercial a while ago, someone who got an IV so they didn't have to eat anymore.
Ooh, yeah.
And they were walking around and then they saw the food and the ad was that they now ate. That's what brought them back to
the food was that good.
But that person doesn't exist. People eat.
Chris Carpenter said, I think it got lost in comments earlier, but if I'm trying to throw a big overstable flex shot Nico style, should I aim left of my target or throw where I would normally aim?
So out of your hand, it's going to want to be left of the target because it's going to usually start left, swing right, and finish. But it depends a lot on the disc that you're throwing. So what's more important than aiming is having thrown that shot before in a field or in practice or whatever so that you know where to aim relative to it. But for the most part, you're going to want to start out to the left.
Yeah, 100%.
Pass, fail?
Ace Run, pass.
Sick.
Ace Run says, I let my daughter have cereal for dinner sometimes, and when she does, I do it too. Yeah, same with my daughter, except for just without the daughter part. Sometimes I just have cereal for dinner.
Does anybody else have like an unhealthy cereal and a vaguely healthy cereal?
Okay.
Like not full grape nuts. It's like Honey Bunches of Oats. Something that's just not sheer sugar like Cocoa Puffs.
I'm going to tell you my two go-tos.
Okay.
Both of them would probably fall into the kind of healthy but not really category.
Not just sheer sugar.
Right. Raisin Bran.
Okay.
Because I'm old. And Honey Nut Cheerios. Because I'm a child.
Well, yeah. Also, Honey Nut Cheerios are delicious.
Well, yes. But so is Raisin Bran.
Yeah.
Not even the crunch one. But you have to, I mean, that the clock starts when the milk touches the cereal. Like, you got to go. You got to get going.
My go-to is chocolate checks.
Yes.
So you like usually with just like rice checks or whatever, I usually sprinkle some sugar on.
Okay, I can do
Chocolate
that.
checks has the sugar and the flavor. Ooh. And then Honey Bunches of Oats is my alternative, which is still, I understand, it still is quite sugary and definitely like not preferable to like a salad.
Well, sure.
But compared to Reese's Puffs,
yeah,
which by the way are fire.
Dude, so true.
It's not as bad.
Okay, so as we've noted, my wife is pregnant, and she is.
Wow,
That's it's true.
A lot.
The other day, like she's had several cravings, but the other day she was like, "Hey, are you going to Walmart today?" I was like, "Yeah, I gotta get some stuff." She said, "Would you mind just getting some Reese's Puffs?" Like, I haven't thought about Reese's Puffs in years, but come on now, got them.
The Reese's Puffs are solid. Someone asked me to do an Oreo eating form breakdown.
Excellent.
Definitely possible. I don't have anything against grape nuts, but I think we can all agree that grape nuts is the most depressing cereal.
Okay. Yep.
Now that's a very like it's hard to be a depressing cereal. So it's not it's that's kind of like the dimmest light bulb. Mm-hmm. Right? Not very depressing in general, but grape nuts is easily like the cereal that would most easily be eaten in like a dimly lit bar, smoke filled at 3 a.m. Just you've messed up and you don't know why you're here anymore and you're having grape nuts.
Yeah, that's true. Greg, thank you. Please do email me that tomahawk recipe. I was thinking I would probably reverse sear them, but that's all I know. I've just done that with like ribeyes and stuff, so I trust you. Chaser says, I am confused, nay, offended that they made that after they made Honey Nut Cheerios, they continued making the original inferior Cheerios. I agree. They just don't do much for me. Get the honey in there. See, I'm a honey proponent, though. Like, when I make tea up here in the morning, I put honey in it every morning.
Have you ever tried like local honey from a farmer's market or something?
That's exactly what we get.
Bomb.
Yes. Very quite good.
Captain Mouth Shredding Crunch.
Mr. Drew says Fruity Pebbles has less sugar than Cheerios. I use that as an excuse to have them around. That may be true. I will never eat Fruity Pebbles.
Really?
These are the facts.
Why?
I can't do it.
The problem.
Think about the milk. And then you're done. That explains the reason.
The problem with Fruity Pebbles is kind of the same problem with Cocoa Pebbles and Rice Krispies and stuff, is that what you're talking about with the timer starts as soon as the milk hits it is like tripled. And by the end,
yes.
you get this just glob of mush.
Yeah, that's true. SSJ Char says, for the next DD disc release, can you guys do a how it's made style video on how you guys actually make a disc, voiceover and rotating product and all? We could do that.
You would fit the voiceover for that.
Thank you.
Well. I used to watch that to go to sleep. It was so soothing.
Can I just go Morgan Freeman on the the plastic is injected into them? Anyway, we're not going to do that because our disc creation process is proprietary, and it is, from what I understand, a little bit different than how some others in the industry do it.
That means a secret.
So we're not going to show that to everybody. But I've seen it in person, and it's sick.
We heat up plastic, shove it in a mold, and then hope for the best.
Yep. Good luck. Chris Carpenter dropped the $5. He says, thanks, y'all. Thank you, man. Do you know where the super chats go? Does it go straight to an account entitled Tacos?
I'm pretty sure.
I'm
not familiar with the whole accounting side of DD, but
yeah, I've never seen the.
It's reasonable to expect that there is an account set up for the tacos.
Yeah, I haven't seen the books yet. But, hey, what events are coming up? I know that they played Silver Cup this last weekend.
Can we check? UDisc will tell us, right?
Yep.
I'm playing an event this weekend down in. Is it Gardner? Is that where the Chain Gang is going?
I think so.
The Chain Gang. Do you want to talk about that for a little bit while I pull this up?
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, the group from Dynamic Discs, I believe they're going under Chasing the Chains now. I'm not really sure.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, they've been traveling around to different places in Kansas and neighboring states running some events. I know that they ran one out at the farm, which went exceptionally well. And if you haven't checked in with them already, you can right now email them at chaingang@dynamicdiscs.com if you want them to come and run an event in your area. Bring the RV out there, bring discs for vending and accessories and everything like that. So you can check it out.
D-Glow is in 2 weeks. But that's the next one on UDisc. Cool.
So a couple weeks in between now and the next event. What are you guys playing? If you're still in the chat, let us know. Let us know what you guys think.
Yeah, there's an event down in Gardner. I haven't played the course before, but it's on an old ball golf course, and I went through on DG Course Review, clicked through all the pictures. It looks to be fairly open. Okay. So probably go ahead and win it. That's usually what I do.
Just go ahead and send it.
Cocoa Puffs is my favorite hyzer flip mid-range.
That's fair. Getting out to the Santa Fe Trail Open in Lyons on the 25th.
Sick.
I am not. You plan on heading out to Lyons on the 25th?
No. Okay. Not right now, but I might. I usually wait till the last second because I am very much a fair weather golfer.
Yeah.
I will not play an event if I haven't signed up for it and there is rain in the forecast. I will not play an event if I'm not signed up for it and there is cold in the forecast. If I'm going to be below 40 degrees or so, I'm probably going to be uncomfortable and I'll probably just sleep in that day. Yeah. But if I'm already signed up for an event and the weather changes, I'm not going to drop out because that hurts the TD. So I'll show up and donate my entry fee for that event.
Here you are, winner.
Yes.
I'm glad you could enjoy my hard-earned dollars.
I will give people tips on how to play in the rain and the cold, but
I will not play in the rain and the cold.
Godspeed.
Here's a question. Do you think that strength training is equally important to disc golf practice in general?
Nope.
I do not. Because there are extremely fit athletes who are not great disc golfers. That's all you need to know. Now, the top disc golfers are across the board pretty fit, active people.
Yeah.
But those types of fit people exist all the way down to, very low rated players.
And plus, disc golf is an activity. So you hiking, walking with a backpack, that generally leads towards a more active lifestyle as well.
Mm-hmm. But having that said, I mean, it can enhance what you're already doing. Mm-hmm. It can help you, throw farther, become more flexible, so that you're more consistent, things like that.
Help reduce injury too.
Yeah, definitely on that. Having your joints supported by the bigger muscle groups, no doubt about that. However, just getting stronger or just getting more flexible doesn't mean that you'll immediately get better at disc golf.
Yeah. My favorite example of this is one of my friends who is a pretty solid player. His name is David Bevis in Russellville, Arkansas. Mm-hmm. He is built like a triangle. The dude is massive.
Big old guy.
Big shoulders, and he is jacked. I believe he does something with the police. I don't know if it's SWAT team or whatever. If it's just standing around and intimidating people, he would be very effective at that as well.
Nice.
Kind of person who could probably throw me a football field with one arm. And I can throw farther than David.
Yeah.
Not like, I'm not trying to say he doesn't throw far, but like well, that would be very inappropriate. Anyway, yeah, I can throw farther than David. David has, he's been playing a while. He's got a pretty good shot, but I am the opposite of built like a triangle. I am built like a spaghetti noodle.
Matchstick.
That works too.
But you're not a redhead.
I am very small.
But it's fine.
But yeah, so that should be the only evidence you need right there is that strength is going to help reduce injury, and it's not going to hurt you. There are really strong people who can throw really far. Some people think, I don't want to get too big and then I won't be able to throw right. That's kind of like, I'm going to start running, but I don't want to win a marathon. It's not the way it works.
I dig it.
Yeah.
2 final thoughts here. One from Tanner A. He says, can we create a disc called the Mechanic that automatically makes me a 1,000 rated player? We can. And we have. It's called the Warden.
I was going to say we just won't.
Yeah, but we're not going to. Last one here. This one's from Jason, and I would assume that your last name is pronounced Sanyavong.
Ooh.
Something like that. You can let me know if that's anywhere close. Probably not. He says, when trying to throw a turnover shot, do you start the disc on a hyzer flip, and because of the stability, it should turn over? Okay, let's talk about the difference between a turnover shot and a hyzer flip. A turnover shot is where you start the disc on an anhyzer angle. That's why it's called a turnover, is because you are creating the angle out of your hand.
It's not necessarily a super understable disc.
Yeah, you can throw a turnover with any disc. It just won't stay turned probably the whole time if you throw a very overstable one.
A super understable disc will probably roll if you do that. So usually for a turnover, you want to pick like a trespass or a getaway or something of that neutral stability.
Mm-hmm. So a turnover starts on anhyzer. Now, a hyzer flip that turns into an anhyzer is exactly what you talked about. Something a little bit more understable. Throw it on a subtle hyzer, let it flip up to flat, and move over to the right. So while there isn't a huge difference between the two, I think there is a bit of distinction that you can make between a turnover and an anhyzer.
Usually a turnover is going to, I don't know if it'll go farther, but it'll go higher, cut like more of a C shape, whereas the hyzer flip will kind of go straight while it's flipping and then finish to the right.
Yeah, it can have kind of a more piercing flight.
Yeah.
So that's what I throw most of the time. If I need something to work to the right and it's not, it's just like a subtle right finish.
Yeah.
I'll throw a hyzer flip or just a forehand.
I'll usually throw it into the trees.
That's fair.
In that situation.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us today. If you haven't submitted a question to Disc Golf Answer Man and you'd like Danny and I to answer it, go to discgolfanswerman.com and drop that in there for us. We have 13 questions left for this week. I have no doubt that we will fly through those. Easily next week. So if you haven't submitted one and you'd like us to get to it, we will do our absolute best to do so if you go to discgolfanswerman.com and submit that. That's it for us today. Thank you for joining us, and
thanks,
we'll catch you next week.
Bye.